it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Schneiderman.
Here.
Councilwoman McNamara. Present. Councilman Martell.
Here.
Councilman Bouvier.
Here.
Councilman Scavone.
Present.
Okay, so we'll get started here. The first item is reviewing the draft agenda for our town board meeting next week, December 12th. It's a 1 PM meeting. And happen here at Town Hall as well as hybrid. We have 6 public hearings. The first one is to adopt the climate action plan as an element of the town comprehensive plan. Second is a public hearing to accept the deed of dedication in connection with the map of Riverhead Estates, map number 574, section D. Third is a public hearing to consider amending Town Code Chapter 64, term limits, to establish a total eligible term for the supervisor and town council members of 12 years. Fourth is public hearing to consider amending Article 28, landmarks and historic districts and heritage resource areas of Town Code Chapter 330 zoning to establish the Bridgehampton Bull's Head Main Street Historic Overlay District. Fifth public hearing is for the siting and construction of a community sewage treatment plant and associated collection and conveyance systems in the hamlet of Riverside. And the last public hearing considers amending Town Code Chapter 330 zoning to establish standards and setbacks for pickleball courts. And then we get to resolutions. The first one, 4502, well, did anybody have any questions about the public hearings? All right, 45020, authorize supplemental funding for WQIP for Southampton Village Sewer System Design Engineering and WQIP project. Design engineering QIP project, okay. The next one is 45021, authorized funding for WQIP of Highway Department Stormwater Management at Foster Avenue and Lighthouse Road project. Next one, 45022, is WQIP funding, Highway Department Stormwater Management at Royal Avenue North Terminus project in Flanders.
44902, authorized purchase of forklift from Modern Group Limited using the Sourcewell contract.
45017, authorize the purchase of food products and related supplies from Omnia Partners with Premier Inc. with distribution to U.S. Foods.
45015, authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with L.K. McLean for professional services related to restoration of wood columns at the Bridgehampton Community House in Bridgehampton. I forget that, like that, we own that thing. But I think it was given to us years ago. And there's a not-for-profit that runs it. I guess we're on the hook for the building, though. It's ours. I don't think we share in the revenue from it. So it's kind of something maybe,
Is there revenue?
yeah. Yeah, that's dance classes and community events.
Oh,
There's a lot of stuff happening at that place. Even seems to be some sort of concession that was operating out of it. So,
right. I know it's been challenging for groups that steward these properties to actually survive, you know,
Right.
so, okay.
yeah, but in this case, we're on the hook, I guess, for the exterior and the interior, right? On this one.
We have to revisit the maybe the capital projects. I think they take care of the day-to-day maintenance, but take a look at that.
A lot of
Agreement
these
again.
arrangements, we've moved away from
I know there had been complaints about certain activities on the site and other past, noise complaints.
noise complaints, yeah.
But that's, I haven't heard that for a number of years now.
It is a historic building.
No, it's a great building, yeah. And I think they do a very good job for the most part, running that.
I wonder, is it a landmark building?
Not, it will be.
It's part of the historic
Yeah.
district.
It's in the
you know,
district, whether it
so-
has its own, I'm not sure.
You know, and
I mean, it's 31,600, but I wonder whether CPF Historic if it's eligible for CPF Historic grant funding.
I'll bring it to Landmarks Board and see.
Yeah, it's something we might want to look at,
Mhm.
you know, rather than having the taxpayers have to pick up
I'll give Ed a call.
Yeah.
the tab. And we might want to give it to the CPF program. All right, so the next one is 44979, authorize supervisor to sign a contract with Elkim McLean PC for professional engineering services for Yacht Club Drive, Remsenburg bulkhead replacement.
Town Board ID 44949, to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Young Associates for a survey for property at 118 Old Country Road in West Hampton. That's the Vidoe property.
Oh, yeah?
ID number 44978, authorize the supervisor to sign a 2024 Bridgehampton Park District Grant Agreement with the Bridgehampton Museum.
44953, authorize the supervisor to sign consultant agreement with Thomas Neely, DBA, TFN Advisors. John, you're the next one.
I'm just reading that. Town Board ID 44990, to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract extension with Vian Vistrians for the farming at Town Line Road, parcel Town Line Road, Sagaponic, Suffolk County Tax Map 908-4-1-27.
Resolution ID 44956, authorize the supervisor to sign a rental agreement for a 3 to 3.4 cubic yard loader wheel for seasonal leaf pickup and road cleanup with United Rentals using the Sourcewell contract.
Town Board Resolution ID 45019, authorize the supervisor to sign a time extension contract with Suffolk County Parks and Peconic Estuary Program. Town Board Resolution 45005, award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Contracts for embroidered silk and screen clothing. Town Board Resolution 45036, award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Spectre Manufacturing Incorporated for closed top shelf contained ejector trailer with hydraulic roof opening.
44948, recall and amend resolution number 23-1023, authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Chalif and Rogers Architects for Tiana Life Saving Station. 45007, recall and amend Town Board Resolution 2023-55, Nelson and Pope Engineering, Architecture and Land Surveying, PPLC, for Shinnecock Hills Extension. 45033, recall and rescind Town Board Resolution number 2023-1314, notice to bidders for Mercury Marine Parts.
Town Board Resolution 45034, recall and rescind Town Board Resolution 23-1364, notice to respondents for professional sewer engineering services for the Riverside Sewage Project.
Sunday, I'd like to be a co-sponsor along with the rest of the board on this resolution.
On the recall and, where are you?
Yep, the whole thing.
All
There
right,
it is.
45006, 2023, notice to bidders for Mercury Marine Parts. 45028, 2023, notice to bidders for walking floor trailers.
Walking floor trailer.
I'm scratching my head a little bit too. Is that
Treadmill
walk-in?
trailers?
Is it walk-in floor trailer?
Got it.
What is it?
I have no idea.
Anybody know what
Walking floor
a
trailer.
walking floor
Walks
trailer
by
is?
itself?
Nobody knows?
Well, I believe that there are trailers inside there that are used on floors to move things around within a warehouse. But I'm not entirely sure.
All right, let's keep going.
Town Board Resolution ID 45035, it's a 2023 notice to respondents for professional municipal sewer engineering services for the Riverside Sewer Project.
44988 amends the 23 budget for various departments. Goes on for a while. 44998, authorize additional funds for legal services by the Law Office of Vincent Toomey, Esquire, for 2023. Cindy, you're up.
It's
Page
33.
33.
You guys went fast. 44935, resolution to adopt amendments to Town Code 330-50, 330-51, and 330-109 in connection with the permitting process for agricultural fencing.
It's okay, I'd like to co-sponsor.
Sure.
Town Board Resolution 44996, resolution of adoption amending Town Code, Chapter 298, taxation to amend Article 11, partial exemption for disabled persons with limited incomes to add a definition for income for purposes of the exemptions. Town Board Resolution 44995, a resolution of adoption amending Town Code, Chapter 298, taxation to amend Article 5, exemption for senior citizens to add a definition for income for purposes of the exemption.
44946, resolution adopting amendments to Town Code, Chapter 330 zoning to establish standards and setbacks for pickleball courts. Of course, that's subject to the public hearing. 44927, authorize Peconic Bay Region Community Preservation Fund tax refund pursuant to first-time home buyers exemption for Carlos G. Suarez Cedillo, I guess?
Deal.
Cedillo. 44839, authorize Peconic Bay Region Community Preservation Fund tax refund pursuant to first-time homebuyers exemption for Kristen Kearney.
Town Board Resolution ID 43666, authorize the supervisor to sign documents for the transfer of sanitary flow credits as it relates to the Affordable Housing Apartment component of the special exception site plan of Frederick Foster, 4 Montauk Highway, West Hampton.
Town Board Resolution ID 44943, authorize waiver of Parks and Recreation Facilities use fee for the Hampton Bays Interact Club Run as One 5K for Mary's Meals on November 18, 2023.
You guys probably want to co-sponsor this one.
Yes,
45025, rename building located at 271 Flanders Road in memory of Ms. Annie Jackson.
Yes, I'd like to
Please.
co-sponsor.
I'm sorry, could we go back to the one before? I heard you say you wanted to co-sponsor, Supervisor?
No, on the 44943?
Yes,
No, I did not say that, but,
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. So the next one, you want to
You
You
co-sponsor?
said the next one, we were probably all
think
gonna
all
want
of
to
them.
Oh,
sponsor.
I was assuming on 45025, the whole board would be on, and
Gotcha.
everybody's indicating they want to be
Yes,
on.
please.
Is that the case?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Thank
That
you.
is the case.
Presenting a proclamation to them on Tuesday as well.
Oh, nice. Okay, 44944, accepts resignation of a youth council and youth bureau. 44947, accepts resignation of a budget technician in the controls office. 44954, appoints George Valentino, senior water treatment plant operator, type 1B in Hampton Bays Water District. 44957, appoints Christine Mortiz to senior office assistant position in land management. 44966, appoints Prana Rand to planner position in land management. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
You may remember Prana.
Yep.
Yep. 44959, appoints James Perini to deputy town assessor position from civil service list. That's great. 44955, appoints Tammy Winkelberg to senior assessment assistant position from civil service list. 44983, appoints Lisa Pape to senior auditor, town finance office. 44961, appoints Renee Riley to administrative assistant position in community preservation. 44984, appoints Sean Cernine to real property recorder 1 position in the town assessor's office. 44962, appoints Shakira Fothergill to senior office assistant position in the trustee office. 44958, appoints Tyler Carbone to sanitation helper position in municipal works, waste management division. 44965, authorizing the hiring of Ricardo Cruz Hernandez, police officer, Spanish-speaking start. Great.
Town Board Resolution ID 44963, authorize town personnel to attend the 2024 Association of Towns Annual Meeting and Training School. Sunday, could you amend that to add land management, please?
Yes. Got it.
Can I just ask, is it specific personnel within land management? It's a lot of people work in land management.
Janice asked that they be added because she wanted to go, but
She and I believe her new
Yeah.
assistant.
we were just doing it this way because last year, the resolutions came in from all the various different departments at different times. Some came in after we attended, so
Okay.
it was just.
Yeah, so it's personnel from that
Yes.
department. It doesn't necessarily say everybody.
It says, the resolution
Yeah.
says personnel.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, so Sunday, you got that? We'll
I
add
do, yes.
land management to that. All right, 45018 is a notice of public hearing on the acquisition of historic preservation and conservation easement of property located at 560 Bridge Lane, Sagaponic, and amend the CPF preservation project plan and CPF management plan to include that property. And then the next one, 45,000. Notice of public hearing on the Community Housing Fund acquisition of land of the Yule Family Trust. And this is, let me just explain this one. This will be notice for January 9th. Let's see the other one. The last one before it was also January 9th hearing. That historic preservation one was January 9th. This is January 9th too. This is about, I want to say 3.8 acre property on Route 27, just past the car dealerships on the left, as you're heading east past the old Princess Diner, which is now Lunch, and then you're on the left side past the car dealerships. And this would be the first acquisition by the Community Housing Fund, which is now bringing in around $1 million a month, which is great. And this would be potentially for 35 rental units for teachers and nurses and essential workers. But this would require ultimately a zone change, and so we decided to do it, even though a tentative agreement was struck on the price, because there's no contingencies on zoning in this. We wanted to make sure that the next town board is supportive, because they're the ones who'll be having to put the zoning in place. So we scheduled it for the 9th, but in the interest of time, we wanted to make sure that we were able to move this thing along so we don't lose a unique opportunity here. All right, 448.
Jay, before we move on, I just want the public to know that the number that you quoted at $1 million a month is based on market forces. We actually estimate that it's going to be a range between 600 and 1 million two per month, depending on how many houses and properties are sold and purchased in the town. I don't want people just to think like it's a solid $1 million a month, because it's
No,
really
it
based
could, it could fluctuate.
Yeah.
The last check was, I believe, around $1 million that we got. It will, yes, of course, it will.
Yeah.
It's like the
It will
Community
fluctuate.
Preservation Fund, it's totally
But
dependent
we
on
did-
fees from the buyer.
We did estimate the fund would generate around 12 million a year. We hope between 10 and 15, something like that. It could be less. Just as the CPF, the CPF would have to generate around 60 million, I think, for us to get to that
Sure.
point.
Sure.
And there's encumbrances.
I like to take these opportunities just to let the public know how this
Yeah.
thing
No, it's a
works.
good point.
It's not a hard number, and
But
I know
this-
you said you put in qualifying language when you
Right.
stated it.
For us to, so
Mhm.
60 million is a decent year for the CPF, but we've had years where it's hit 120 million pounds. It's been double that, so.
During the pandemic.
So, a year like that would have netted the housing fund double this, twice as much. So, up, potentially up to 2 million, but,
And we heard from Chris Como over at the Suffolk County Clerk's Office, who's saying they're gonna modify the form to separate out, the 0.5
Oh,
for the
good.
community housing
Very
and
Good.
2%. That's been
that'd be great.
Controller's office is gonna be happy about that, but yeah.
Currently, the county is sending over all of the closing documents, and our controller's office has to parse through them all to see
No,
if they
he's-
qualify.
he's
And they're
been
doing
very-
a good
they've been
job
very
at it.
helpful over there, so.
Right, because there's still deals that are closing that went into contract prior to April 1st of this year, which are under the old program. So it's where there was no CHM. So yeah, Dorothy's office has been doing a very good job, but it's a tremendous amount of work for them to go through every single one.
To parse out those.
Yes.
Yeah, Chris
Yeah.
felt they could have something ready.
So,
First of
for,
the
who did you speak to?
Chris Como, C-O-M-O.
What do you think? I thought you said Chris Cuomo, I'm like, well, what
Chris
he
is
do?
Really?
the Chief Deputy County Clerk. Been there.
Okay.
I was gonna say, is that Chris's new job?
Yeah. No, Chris is very, very helpful with a lot of different issues that we face.
Chris Como.
Como.
All right, 44826, authorize the acceptance of a deed of open space in connection with the map of Riverhead Estates, map number 574, section G. All right, so there's more? Done?
Yeah, before you move on, I just want to let you know, I asked Tom Houghton what a walking floor trailer is. He sent me a video, which I obviously can't share with you, but it says the floor moves in sections to walk material out, more economical than the push-out trailers.
That's what I thought.
Okay,
So is that for a
Have it
waste
figured
management?
out.
Yeah,
what's that? Not yet. Let's see if we can finish this.
That's cool.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's
It's for,
good.
on container truck, yeah. Interesting.
So it keeps going back and grabbing stuff?
yeah, moving it forward.
Huh.
Yeah, his first text was, they're super cool, I'll send you a video.
Okay, 44023, which you guys are all co-sponsoring, authorized funding for Town of Southampton, Bridgehampton Community Center project for sanitary engineering and design. 44040 is setting town board meeting dates for 2024. Tommy John, you want to read the rest?
Yeah, these have to do with the public referendums that we had last night. And before I read these, I want to personally thank the town clerk and everyone in your office for a job well done on that. I know it was a long day and a lot of work. Also,
Thank you. Okay, you can.
sure,
I just wanted, because I'm going to have to leave for a town clerk conference shortly, but I just wanted to mention the people that we work directly with to
Oh,
make
please,
this
yeah.
happen. And that is Ross Baldwin in GIS. He communicated with the BOE, getting all of the addresses correct and made all the maps and everything. He's been essential to every election we've run. Kathleen Murray in the town attorney's office is part of our election team that we have. The CRC, Deborah Keller and Colleen Jones made all our signage and made the ballots, and they printed up everything we needed. And my deputy, Kim Otadi, is essential to the operation. So bravo, and thank you. I'm gonna leave. Kim's gonna take my spot. We're honoring my friend Diane Wilhelm from Riverhead Town Clerk is retiring. This
Okay.
is our last town clerk meeting with her. So thank you very much, and I will see you.
thank you for that coordination and
thank you, Sandy.
everything. So before I read these, I'll just take this opportunity to read out the results. Hampton Bays, it was 66 votes yes, 1 vote no. West Hampton, 10 votes yes, 0 votes no. Southampton, 30 votes yes, 0 votes no. And Flanders Northampton, 25 votes yes and 19 votes no. So they all passed, and we are changing our contribution to the Length of Service Awards program for our incoming ambulance volunteers.
Now, does that also affect the retirees, the ones who are currently collecting LoSAP? Does their $20 a month change?
It does not.
It does not?
It does not.
They still get the 20?
That's correct.
Okay, so it's really prospective.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Document number 45044, authorization to accept and approve the proposition amending the Northampton Flanders Ambulance District Volunteer Ambulance Workers Length of Service Award Program, LoSAP, by increasing the monthly service award from $20 to $30 pursuant to New York State General Municipal Law, Article 11, AAA.
So, tell me, John, the election doesn't effectuate the change. We have to do it by this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so.
We're accepting the results. And
We're
by the way,
accepting
just,
the
so we know, and I guess since we're talking about it, yeah, the tax implications, I'll go through those as well. It's pretty quick. And Hampton Bays, the tax implication is $2.10 annually for a house that's assessed at $500,000. West Hampton, $1.06 for $500,000 of assessed valuation. Southampton, it's $1.11 for $500,000 of assessed valuation. And then Flanders Northampton, it's $11.69 for a home assessed at $500,000.
Can I ask?
So you can do the math there. So if you're in West Hampton and your house is worth $1 million, you're going to pay $2.12 a year.
When does it begin?
It begins January 1st of 2024. In other words, the service from next year forward is when it begins.
Okay, so the actual financial impact is 2025.
Correct.
Is the first possible
Right.
year. Because I was gonna say, we've already set the levy.
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't be collecting the money to pay for this until the following year. So-
Right.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, did you want to finish reading?
Sure, I think we have to, right?
Yeah, they're all the same, right?
Yeah, they are all the same. Right, this is just
It's
public
just-
notice.
It's just Northampton and then,
Right, so
Hampton
the same
Bays,
thing for
Southampton.
Hampton Bays Ambulance
yeah, you don't
Volunteer.
have to read them.
Okay, and then
All right.
for
Anybody have-
Southampton, and then for West Hampton, and there we go.
So this is just a formality, just accepting the results of the election?
Correct.
basically. Okay, yeah, good work on this, Councilman Scavone.
Yeah, agreed. This is really good for our volunteers.
Can I be added as, can we, other people may want to also be added, but I'd like to be added as co-sponsors on all of those.
Sure, I would.
Yeah, same here.
If you'll have us.
Yeah,
Cindy, you too?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, so,
Right, what are you gonna do?
Mid-sneeze.
so, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Kim, the whole board will co-sponsor.
Got it.
All four, right.
All right, so any other comments on the draft agenda? All right, hearing none, let's, yes, Kim, this is good to publish, so.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next item, updates. I guess I'll start, so yesterday, was the East End Supervisors and Mayors Association. It was a really great meeting, really well attended out on Shelter Island. It was my last one, so, I've been chair of that organization for the past 8 years. I was also chair of it, many years ago, back, like in 2002, 2003. It's a really important organization where we get to sort of speak with one voice on issues that affect the region. And we get updates from various levels of government. So there was Congressman Lolota's rep was there, and Senator Palumbo's rep was there. Both Assembly representatives, Assemblywoman Giglio as well as Assemblyman Thiel was there, and then Bridget was there, and Al Krupski. Lots of changes, they're all 5 of the town supervisors are leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a whole new crew coming in, that's really unusual. So that's a big changing of the guard there, and of course Bridget's leaving as well. And so we'll have 2 new legislative reps, because Legislator Krupski is also leaving. He's going to be Southold supervisor. We had really good conversations about trying to do an analysis of the East End's contribution to Suffolk County in terms of how much sales tax do we actually generate, and what do we cost the county, so that we could have a stronger lobbying position on issues like, getting our fair share for sales tax. So, we're looking to do an economic study of the region in terms of county funding. And we had Peconic Estuary there too. And years ago, there was a group called the East End Economic and Environmental Task Force. It was set up by Mario Cuomo, not Andrew Cuomo, Mario Cuomo. It later became the East End Economic and Environmental Institute. And it was a board that was made up of a number of town supervisors on the East End, as well as different organizations, like the Wine Bureau had a seat, the Farm Bureau had a seat. And it was funded with money that was imposed penalties when towns didn't close the landfills in time, violations of the Long Island landfill law. And so it had actually quite a bit of money. These fines were paid by the towns, and then they were given to this organization, which I became the chair of, de facto chair, default chair, because I was chair of the East End Supervisors and Mayors Association. And there were all these restrictions on how you could spend the money. So there was $170,000 in the account, and I've been trying to spend it for 8 years. It's been that difficult because it needed DEC sign-offs. It needed Attorney General sign-off. The money had to be spent in a way that was in line with the original consent orders. It was really complicated. And, with Assemblyman Steele's assistance and the AG's office and the DEC, we finally got authorization to give the money to the Peconic Estuary program. So yesterday, after all that, I was able to give $170,000, a check, on behalf of the East End Economic and Environmental Institute to Dr. Joyce Novak. And they're doing this extensive study of microplastics in the environment, and as well as some other things. And and now we can finally fold up the organization. It doesn't need to exist anymore. The accounts is spent out. But that happened yesterday. Lots of proclamations for various people who were leaving office. And we had a surprise guest. It wasn't Santa Claus, but we did have Tom Falcone who came. Tom Falcone is the CEO of LIPA. And he attended as well, and we were able to ask him a number of questions about the future of LIPA. And as you may know, there's a report that came out by an assembly committee that recommends returning LIPA to what it was originally supposed to be, to basically LIPA to be a public utility. LIPA has never really been a public utility. It's been a appointed board, appointed by the governor primarily, all from nobody who lives on Long Island, assembly folks, Senate folks. So LIPA's basically contracted out the operation of our utility to PSE&G. It was, I think, National Grid up until Superstorm Sandy. But now there's a report that says that it can be fully a public utility and actually save us money. So there was lots of questions about that, and
What do you have to say
about
the report
He's
specifically?
basically, Tom Falcone is ready to take over the entire operation. Basically, the workers would move to LIPA from PSE&G. They would be fully protected. They'd stay in their same private
Right,
package.
that's in the report.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Is
one
she-
part of the report.
Yeah.
Did he say he was supporting the report?
Well,
I guess he wouldn't. It's not his
not
call.
sure that he's in a position to say.
Hmm.
He's saying that he's prepared for whatever the state legislature does at this point, but certainly feels capable of being able to do it on their own.
Good.
You know,
Well, as you know, we had that commission here twice on the East End and spoke with them
Yes.
extensively. So I'd urge people, the report is available online, it's 244 pages, and it contains a lot of other things, the savings to be realized were somewhere between 60 and 80 million. which is significant.
That's significant, yeah.
Yeah, so.
You know, he happened to have.
It's a well-drafted report, and I fully support it, and I'm waiting anxiously to see what the legislature does.
He was out here for, it's not really a ribbon cutting. It has a different term, but he was out for, I'll call it, let's say, the first electron that moved from the wind power into the town of East Hampton. It was the first energy generated by that offshore wind coming into the town of East Hampton. So it was a big moment for offshore wind, and he did talk a lot about the future of offshore wind, as well as LIPA's plan to, you know, right up your alley, sort of move away from fossil fuels and, you know, significant changes that will lower the carbon footprint for our utility usage. So it's exciting stuff. A couple announcements. Everybody is invited to tomorrow, December 8th, 5 to 7, Stony Brook, Southampton, Chancellor's Hall, and then over to the windmill for the annual lighting. It's free admission. Everybody's welcome. It's always a fun event. And also, we have a groundbreaking scheduled for Mill Creek Park, formerly the Burden property. This is Wednesday, December 13th, 2023 at 2:30. So that is next Wednesday. There's also a rain date for Friday, if necessary. And that, you guys, it's 17 Old Country Road in Watermill. It's right on as you're heading east, on the north side of the road along Mill Creek, just before you go over the bridge into the Watermill area. So, right on the left there. And that's gonna be really exciting, new park that LaGuardia Design has been working on, and it's nice that we're gonna be able to get a groundbreaking in. All right, Cindy, you got stuff?
Last Saturday, we had the East Quogue Holiday on Main. It was the second one we've hosted. It was a great event. There was, PD estimated 1,500 people turned out. And what made it so great was every third or fourth person you knew they were from East Quogue, and it was just great to see the community all out in the street and, you know, sharing in the holiday spirit. And then they lit the tree, and which is a really nice event. And it's actually, I think, I would say at least doubled since last year. So,
That's nice.
and thank the East Quogue Fire Department for that.
Yeah, so I got to attend that also. It is a great event, and it's one of those examples of, you know, when we overturn some of the fees for these events to make them happen, because otherwise they couldn't afford to put these events on, and it's really special for the communities that we do things for. So it was a really nice day. The weather held up, and it was great to see all the characters, not just Santa Claus there that day. But a couple other things. Hampton Bays also had a tree lighting. Unfortunately, it was the same night. There was a lot going on last Saturday. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce because they did something different this year. They did an elf on the shelf for the different businesses, so people and their children had to come around, find the elf in the different stores, log it in, get a sticker. There were prizes, and then it, you know, all came to an end on the tree lighting night. So between the Chamber and the Hampton Bays Fire Department, they put on a great event. The fire department property, it was hard to find a parking place at Hampton Bays for the tree lighting. It was a really nice night. I want to give a shout out too to the Youth Bureau. You know, they're always doing wonderful things, but if you have a child that's anywhere from 2nd grade to 12th grade, you should really check in on the website and see what's going on. They have some programs over the holidays, and they have their winter brochure out too. There's many things that you can take advantage of. And last but not least, the Hampton Bays Beautification Association yesterday had their luncheon, and they honored one of ours, and it was John Irwin for the Appreciation Award for everything he does in Hampton Bays.
That's
Nice,
nice.
that's
event.
really nice.
That's wonderful. John, you got anything?
Just one quick thing, I've obviously been out of touch for a week or so. But good news for our area, after working with Fred Thiel for 3-4 years, we finally got the MTA contract for the Spionk train station. which is a big deal, because there's been a lot of localized flooding there, and homeowners are, get inundated every time there's a heavy rain thing. So the contract was awarded yesterday, so I'm gonna go home later and privately celebrate. It's a really good event, and I'm really glad that, and thank you, Assemblyman Thiel, for your work on this, because it, obviously without him, we couldn't have done it.
Is the MTA going to pick up the tab for that?
Yes, yep. They
That's our
awarded the
parking lot.
contract. Yep, it's their train station.
Well, that's good, because, yeah, we've been on that thing. Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it there.
John, well, just on that too, Fred mentioned yesterday at the East End Supervisors Association, Supervisor Mayor Association, that some preliminary assessments for MTA capital are out, and they do include a lot of capital out on the East End for
Yep.
the sidings and things like that.
A lot of stuff.
It's not yet in the capital plan, so that's the next step. It's sort of in the recommended, but it's not there yet, so there's still work to go. If they can get it into their capital plan, particularly in the earlier years, that will be instrumental in terms of, if we could get these sidings, we get a hell of a lot more trains. And then people could rely on rail service to get around in a way that they can't now. They do with the
Mhm.
commuter connection. But it could make a big, big difference for us.
Well, it's an interesting process, having watched going through it, you have a need, and it took so much time to get it off of the recommended list to actually be awarded. It took almost 4 years.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
that's a slow process. I understand it. I know MTA's been going through some evolution on its own, but,
Yeah, it's good.
it's good that we have a representative out here that represents the East End in terms of these kinds of things that
Sure.
are out of our local control. And, again, I thank Fred.
He's done a great
He
job.
did a great job.
Tommy John?
Sure. Took the Long Island Commuter Connection this week, and on Tuesday morning, there were 160 commuters on that train, which is
160?
160,
Okay.
and and that was kind of a slower day. For the past 2 weeks on the Commuter Connection, they were down to one car, so that one car was jammed with people. So I certainly appreciate the people that take this regularly. It's December, traffic has eased up a bit, but they're still taking the Commuter Connection. And so I'm happy to hear that there's capital for the East End, because if we can get another train or two in the morning and the evenings, it's just going to free that up a little bit more. We observed a number of things. Not only are people taking the Hamptons Hopper, that's the bus that we provide in Southampton and East Hampton towns, but people are also walking to work in East Hampton and Amagansett, and are also getting rides. People, we observed that people were coming in and picking some of the commuters up and bringing them to work too. So I'm happy to see that growing. I think that's certainly a strong showing. 160 people on Wednesday in December. So there's that. Also, this weekend, Long Beach, we are, along with the Noyak Civic Council and Cornell Cooperative, we are going to have a beach planting event, and we're going to be doing other things. That's from 10 to 12. Did not mean for this to conflict with the Polar Bear Plunge, but if you want to volunteer and come out on Long Beach and Noyak this weekend, please do. Also, in Sag Harbor, the Round Pond project is completed, looks gorgeous. The plantings are in, and we want to have a ribbon cutting on December 19th, Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock. You are all invited, along with officials from the village of Sag Harbor and others. Also, one other thing, Town Line Road, the division between East Hampton and Southampton Town, there's been significant dumping there. And so we are going to be calling for volunteers to help East Hampton and Southampton and Suffolk County do some cleanup there. So watch your inboxes for that. Many hands make light work. And of course, the 4 public referendums passed, and we said that earlier, the ambulance LoSAP change.
Did anybody go to the home dedication over in Flanders?
Flanders, no,
I had a conflict, I could not.
But there was we were obviously very involved with that, providing the property, so
Mhm.
we have a new homeowner.
Yeah.
And we should thank Habitat for Humanity
Mhm.
for all their
Yeah,
work.
Curtis was there, I think, Councilman-elect Mike
Isilli,
I think he was
Isilli,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice when we're able to provide somebody a home that they can afford.
Sure.
And it takes a lot of pieces coming together. So, you know, the county, I think in this case, probably started out with the land on a tax default, gave it to the town gave it to the housing authority contracted with Habitat for Humanity to build the home. And Kara's office gets involved, everybody gets involved. We were able to cross the finish line on this one. so.
Mhm. This was a 72H property. I'm hoping that the new county executive will make more 72H properties available to the town so we can do more projects like this. And not just the funny-looking ones that are like a thin slice of pizza next to the
Yeah.
sump that you can't put anything on.
Yeah, and it
But
puts a
the ones
homeowner in a
shuffled for
community. which
auction.
is-
Well, what the county's been doing is auctioning them off themselves, and, you know, so we believe we can get people on those properties, in houses, living.
Yeah, that
Or at
was-
least have the town have the ability to see the list
Right.
before it goes to auction.
That's,
Nice if we
It's
had
about building communities.
Yeah.
that's the way it was. I mean, when I was there,
Mhm.
we circulated and we gave the opportunity to towns to look at it,
It'd be nice
either
if
for
we had even
environmental
like the
reasons
right of
or
first
other.
refusal on some of these.
Yes.
Well, that's what we tried to
So
do.
that we, because some people get these properties at auction for way undervalued. And if we could even just say, okay, look, that price is subject to the town's ability to exercise right of first refusal.
Sure.
Well-
We used to actually have, if there was properties we identified that were improved properties, that were houses on them, but most of them needed some sort of work, but we would have a separate auction for first-time homebuyers on those properties. So the general public was not allowed to be in on that bidding, so it wouldn't bid the prices way up.
That's
So-
what we should have.
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
both-
That's what we did then,
Well,
and then the properties that were, the other properties would be circulated through the towns. For each town, if the property was located in that town, we gave that town an opportunity to look at it, and if they wanted it, we worked a 72H with them.
Well, both Councilman Scavone and I spoke to the legislature about exactly that.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a whole lot of reception to it, even
I
to
don't
make
know-
the
I don't know
lists
why.
available to us. You
Yeah.
know, after the fact doesn't help.
Listen, and it's even more worthwhile now because there was a recent Court of Appeal, United States Supreme Court decision that said the county can't profit, from any monies that are, that the property sells for at these auctions.
There you go.
That are exceeding what the county investment is, it has to go back to the homeowner.
Well, county executive-elect, he's been in government a long time. I know he understands this process, so
Yeah, very
fingers
much so.
crossed, and we're looking
Amazing
forward to
that
getting
that
more
took us-
properties.
Amazing
It
that
took
that took the
long, right?
Supreme
No,
Court.
you're right.
I've been saying that for years, when I was
course.
at the county,
Of
that
course,
it wasn't fair, that you
Right.
could have.
right. That was the whole reason
a
why the
property
county,
that- You could have a property worth $1 million
right,
that, the homeowner owned $20,000 in back
Right,
taxes.
right.
And they would take it
yeah,
and they'd sell it for $1 million and the homeowner would get nothing.
we get nothing.
And the homeowner who held the mortgage at that time before it went, with those costs were actually passed on to the county to pay for the upkeep of the
Sure,
properties.
it
to
wasn't-
make
those-
you know, it's
You
just-
could
the other
end
thing
up,
is these-
you could
these
end up
prop-
with, the homeowner could be dead and, their estate gets the land basically stolen from them.
Right, right.
Because if you don't pay your property taxes, after a certain amount of time, the county has the right to take it.
Right.
It could be somebody in a nursing home who's
Right.
just not able to respond.
Right.
And it always seemed very unfair to me,
Yeah.
that I always felt the county should be able to get the tax money that they were owed, get interest, get penalties, but not get, this windfall at the
Right.
expense of, the property owner. The banks don't do, the banks will foreclose, they'll sell it, they'll take what they're owed,
Sure.
and you get the balance.
Well, that's statutory. They have to put the surplus money has to be deposited back into the courts, right, and
But the
I think
county
the
wasn't-
statute,
That's exact,
the
that's
county's
what the problem is.
charter was, when they created this, was for that purpose, for it to be a kinder, gentler tax sale than other jurisdictions, so.
You know, with commercial property, they have the right to take it after 1 year of non-payment.
Right. Yeah,
Crazy.
And vacant property as well, any vacant property, but.
1 year.
But I tell you, when I was
Pay
there,
your
we had a
taxes.
very active redemption unit, and these, like, the folks that worked in the redemption unit were really almost serving as another extension of the social services. They would work with people, but, Mr. Supervisor, you're 100% right. Most times if people aren't paying their taxes, there's other reasons, either death or, you know, sickness or other issues, so. The staff over in the county real estate department really would try to work with people and really try to see if there was any equity in those houses, try to get them to redeem them, not to lose this tremendous equity that might be in their families. But
Exactly.
sometimes it didn't work, so it was
There were
sad.
situations where I felt like the county was taking properties away from, you know, poor individuals
Sure.
who couldn't afford to, you know, take care of them, and then they were giving it to us for affordable housing. I'm like, why didn't they just help that person stay in that house?
Exactly. No,
Why
that was,
didn't-
right.
you know?
That was the first goal when I was there. We tried to work with the people, try to keep them in their homes. You know, most of those properties, especially now with the U.S. Supreme Court decision, the properties that the county takes on foreclosure, they're not assets to the county. We have to maintain them
Yeah.
and if we're not gonna,
It's the undue burden definition.
yeah,
That's been cited, that's how that all started. It was a legal argument that was made, and it made no sense, right?
yeah. This is a great example of what you can do with it, you know, this Vale Avenue property, you know, so you can you have young homeowners who are in the community now, and they're gonna lift up that community, because they're there and they invested in it.
All right, so we're gonna, move on here. So the next item is executive session. So, we have confidential legal advice, personnel, acquisitions. So I don't see anything else, so I'll make a motion to, end our work session and go into executive session on those items.
I will second that.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned for all other purposes. Do you guys want to reconvene at noon? Is that?
No, Kathleen has to leave at noon, so she'd like to get to you